Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gavin Richard Presents. I am Gavin Richard coming from you here on this beautiful fall evening. It's gotten cooler here in Baton Rouge. I dig it. I love it. Um, Hope everybody had a good weekend. Just some things on my mind I want to talk about. I haven't been on here in a while, but I was looking at and everything that's going on with the NFL. I read recently, or I saw on, I think it was Undisputed, where Jerry Jones made some comments where he said that the protests were hurting the NFL. Now, I'm not going to be sit up here and tell you what you can and can't see uh, in boycotting and so forth, because I would be a hypocrite to say I haven't watched a football game. I have. But it's undoubtedly and without question, it's clear every day that goes by that these owners do not care about these players. They care about their bottom line, which is money. Uh, and none of these owners, from my understanding, endorsed or in some way supported Donald Trump. I know Jerry Jones is a big supporter of him. Robert Kraft, who owns the New England Patriots. I know that Khan, who was the owner of Jacksonville, he gave money to Donald Trump. So, and I'm not shitting on anybody that gives money. It's their money to do what they want, but it does raise your eyebrows when you hear about it. And all of the stuff that's gone on, it has left a sour taste, especially in my mouth when I see these owners treating these players basically like their property. Uh, and what happened with Kaepernick, how he's been blackballed out of the league. And yes, owners can hire and fire who they want. That's a gimme. When you work for anybody, they also have the right to fire you. You're seeing that now with how Jamel Hill is treated with ESPN, although I don't really care for Jamel Hill after she wrote or she showed her support for that article, that bullshit article that The Root put out where they called black men the white men of the black community. There's only one white man, and it's not the black man in the black community. But that's a topic for another discussion that I want to do on the video. But, you know, taking it back to the protest and so forth, he said the protest, Jerry Jones, is hurting the game. And it is true that when you're a private business, your rights can be limited to an extent. If you're at a football game and you're cursing or you're disrupting the crowd, being disruptive in the stands, I've seen security guards kick people out because when you're at that stadium, that is not a public stadium as most people claim it to be, but the Superdome, which is the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, is no longer owned by the state. It's a private entity. Uh, just like the NFL, it is a private place of business. And if you work for any boss, they're not going to allow you, obviously, to protest on their time. But that being said, and especially this goes to Jerry Jones, you guys are the biggest hypocrites because, number one, you didn't allow players to come out on the field until after the national anthem was played. There was no standing and rising for the national anthem in the players' tunnel. I'm pretty sure in the tunnel. I'm sure they didn't start that until the '09 season when the Department of Defense gave money to the NFL to obviously push this patriotism, this I call it commercial patriotism, onto everybody because now with the NFL, if you've noticed, the advertisements are always with the military, the Marines, whether it's the Navy, whether it's the Army, things like that. But when we talk about protest is designed to be disruptive. Protest is designed to make people uncomfortable. That's how this country was founded. It was founded on protest. The first person to die in the American Revolution who was a protester was Crispus Attucks, who was a black man. Uh, when you look at the civil rights movement, and necessarily do I consider this the same thing? Not necessarily, but I do think when I look at the 1968 Olympics, when I think of Tommy Smith and Carlos, his whole name, excuse me, his whole name skips me right now. When I look at these guys, they were protesting the unfair treatment of black people in this country in the 1960s, and in 1968, that year. That was a dark time with the assassination of Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy. You had kids being shot on college campuses, and you see 50 years later, almost 50 years later, we're talking about the same thing. So things have not changed in its entirety and how quickly and fast that they should be. And at the heart of this, everybody is talking about the wrong thing. Who kneeled this week? Who kneeled that week? This was not about kneeling. This was about calling attention to the shooting of unarmed African Americans. So I really hope the Dallas Cowboys, and people may not like it, I hope they keep losing because I do not like Jerry Jones at all. He's a great businessman, and yeah, they got players on there who respect him. And I did see one player who said he was going to call his bluff this week, but I don't think he did. He's not obviously on the levels of Dak Prescott. He's not a person that's, I've heard of. Not shitting on the brother, but, Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott and Des Bryant, who are the stars of the team or the favorites, we know that they weren't going to do anything because, they're good old boys and they do not want to steer the hornet's nest of Jerry Jones. But anyway, that's just my little 2 cents on it, So keep in mind when people say the protests are anti-American or they're anti-military. The heart of America, at the start of America, was always built on protest, and it was also built on blood. That's just a fact. So anyway, guys, this is Gavin Richard. Thank you for joining me for Gavin Richard Presents. If you like this video, please leave a comment. If you don't like it, it's okay. Do what you want. You can still leave a comment. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Peace.